What does it mean to be seen and to be heard as an institution? Outside our building, we've made a choice to be seen. A pride flag, a banner that reads, "Remember the St. Louis," an Israeli flag, and permanently etched in stone are the Ten Commandments and the Stars of David. These are declarations projected outward and into the public square. And one of the messages they convey, at least one, is this: that we are a Jewish community that stands for human dignity. The pride flag proclaims that every human being is created in the image of God. The Israeli flag affirms the right of the Jewish people to live in peace in our ancestral homeland alongside our neighbors. And the banner, "Remember the St. Louis," represents our moral obligation to the vulnerable and the displaced. I wish we lived in a world where these truths were self-evident, where it was universally understood that to be human is to be in relationship. We become who we are, not in isolation, but in the space between us and the other. Hasn't everyone read Buber? But that is not the world that we live in. So in response, we project symbols to make visible what matters. Because social systems, as we know, are not fixed. They are constructed through rituals like raising a banner, through signs, through songs, and through language. To channel Heschel, what we're witnessing in the public square today is not just polarization, it's a collapse of moral imagination. And in that vacuum, what we see is weaponized language that rushes in to fill the void. Spray-painted graffiti like we saw last week at our rabbinical school in New York. Stickers slapped on street signs, derogatory chants at rallies, crude memes spreading like wildfires online. These are words that people use, and they don't argue. They're not part of anything like an argument. They're more of an assault, and they seek to dehumanize, and what they leave in their wake is a depleted moral landscape. We've all heard and seen them. There's no Adam and Steve, restore biological truths, globalize the Intifada, go back to where you came, Jews will not replace us. None of these are neutral phrases. They are signals and they are symbols, and when seen and heard, they shape a world in which dignity is denied. So I think part of the reason that we project I think part of the reason what we project and what we say matters so deeply right now is because none of this is theoretical. These are not abstract threats. Just this week, we saw Jews in Colorado who were attacked with Molotov cocktails while peacefully marching for the release of the hostages. And recently, as we know, 2 young people in our city were murdered outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum, not because they worked at the Israeli embassy, but simply for being part of a Jewish event. Earlier this year, at Stonewall, the birthplace of the modern LGBTQ movement, memorial signs and benches were removed by the Trump administration, a deliberate act in a broader campaign to erase queer and trans rights. Now, to be sure, anti-Semitism, homophobia, xenophobia, all of these diseases, they have different roots, but they grow in the same climate, one of fear and erasure. And so, as a Temple Micah community, we project, we speak, because the alternative is to say nothing. The alternative is silence. And silence, as Elie Wiesel said upon receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, helps the oppressor and never the victim. Our tradition knows this too. Do not oppress the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. Who says your blood is redder than your neighbor's? You don't have to look hard to see that Torah affirms human dignity at every turn. This week, I'm thinking particularly of the story of David and Jonathan, a relationship that the Torah doesn't hide or downplay, but it places front and center. It describes their bond with the following words: V'nefesh Yonatan nikshera b'nefesh David. Jonathan's soul became bound up with the soul of David. It is a love that's public, and it is a love that is unqualified. What happens when we do hide? Rabbi Eugene Borowitz, in his book, The Masks Jews Wear, warns that when we disguise ourselves, when we try to hide, either as good citizens or as loyal liberals, we flatten our faith. A hidden Judaism, he writes, forgets how to speak. The same is true for any identity or status. If we are queer or trans or undocumented or Jewish or left-handed, and we are forced to hide any part of our identity, whether out of fear or because laws or language tell us that we don't belong, then we are diminished, and we break a very important chain of responsibility. And here I'm thinking of Levinas, who taught that I am responsible for myself, for the other, and for the other's responsibility to me. There is no ends to the demands of dignity. They go back and forth, back and forth. And so, as a Temple Micah community, we choose visibility, not because it is safe, because often we know that it's not, but because visibility is sacred. And through this, we proclaim that being part of a covenantal community of Jews and of humans calls us to protect love and to resist cruelty. This, I think, is what a synagogue is meant to do, to help us speak truthfully and give us language and symbols and songs for what matters. It is clear to anyone who's paying attention that we're in need of a new shared moral code. But there's no way to get there if we don't have a shared vocabulary, some way to talk about what's right and wrong that's bigger than our personal preferences. Without that, we have what we see today. And to be part of the Jewish conversation is to speak our values aloud, to live them where others can see and hear. The scholar Hilary Putnam, in Jewish Philosophy as a Guide to Life, wrote that a mitzvah is not just a commandment. He says that it's part of a system meant to bring sanctity into every part of our life. It's not just a good deed, it's part of something much larger. That's what our language and our symbols do. They are mitzvot made visible. They remind us and the world who we are. So we'll keep speaking clearly, and I hope that we'll keep choosing to put our signs out into the public square. It's what our tradition and this moment asks of us all. Shabbat Shalom.